You've probably heard a dozen foster care stories, but you ain't never heard one like this. This is not about to be a sad story about all the horrible things that once happened to this one little girl. I hope you didn't come here looking for trauma porn, hoping to feel a high off some poor child's tragic story so you can go home tonight and think to yourself, damn, I'm glad that wasn't me. If you are searching for a protagonist who was a victim of the system and became yet another statistic on the front page of the LA Times, I suggest you look the other way, because this ain't that. This is a story about resilience, about still waters that never crashed. A story about a metaphorical child sailor who gained their skills by navigating turbulent seas. This story begins with a little girl who was only 6 years old. The first time she was ripped from the needle-scarred arms of her heroin-addicted mother. In this story, you can hear the distinct screams of that child as they pried her white knuckle fingers through the door on the way to the social worker's car. In this story, that child is taken to a place called McLaren Hall. It's a juvenile detention center that they callously and carelessly repurposed into a residential foster care facility for neglected kids, just like that little girl. That place became her first home away from home, except that wasn't a home at all, because there was no love there. There was no peace. There was screaming. There was nonstop banging on the walls. There were muffled cries into tear-stained pillowcases from kids who longed for whatever dysfunction they had back home that had brought them there. There were fights in the cafeteria over graham crackers. And there were overzealous guards with callous hearts who violated children in the middle of the night. And like all juvenile detention centers, there were cells instead of rooms, because like I said, this place was no home. And the little girl in that story sat in those cells. She sat inside of those cells and she went inside of herself. She sat inside those cells, went inside of herself, and when she came out, she was a brand new person. She was unbreakable. She decided right then and there that she would never be a prisoner behind physical walls as long as her mind was free. That little girl spent the next 12 years living in 7 different foster homes across 3 different counties in Southern California. She went back home with her parents sometimes too, where she slept in dope houses and cockroach-infested motels. She spent freezing cold nights in poorly constructed tents on the side of the road. No pillows this time. So instead, her tears rolled down plastic bags full of clothes that she used to prop her head up off the ground at night. But at 14, she was sent to her last placement in Compton, California. Now, this was a place she had loved and had lived in as a child, but this time was different. Because see, this time she was an adolescent and no longer an invisible child. This time she had a red Centennial High School hoodie on, walking through Crip neighborhoods to get to school and having knives pulled out on her. This time she was placed in a home that had a lock on the refrigerator door, but no door on her bedroom at all. So she sat up on that top bunk that overlooked her two younger siblings, and she went inside of herself once again. She sat on that top bunk and went inside of herself, and she did it for the same reasons as last time, which was because she knew she had to survive. So she built up this armor that changed the way she walked and changed the way she talked, but it never changed who she was on the inside. She was a shell of a person living in this home with constant chaos. But internally, she maintained her peace. So she sat in that classroom with her hoodie and her armor on while her classwork was being neglected because she was at a crossroads. She could either become a dope dealer or a doctor. See, she could follow in her father's footsteps and chase after fast money, or she can grow up and become the woman her mother never got a chance to be. So, on graduation day, that little girl, who was now becoming a young woman, sat in the audience with a folded acceptance letter to the Howard University in her pocket. And when her name was called, she walked across that stage, diploma in hand, head held high, because she knew she finally had a plan for her life. That little girl became me, Dr. Sharrica Miller. I went on to obtain my bachelor's degree in nursing from Howard University, my master's degree in nursing from Cal State Long Beach, and most recently, my PhD in nursing from UCLA. Thank you. Did you know that less than 5% of foster youth go on and get a bachelor's degree? And only about 1% of nurses are doctorally prepared. So that makes me an anomaly. I am now an accomplished author, speaker, advocate, educator, using my platforms to bring awareness to the needs of foster youth, just like that little girl. My journey was hard. It was so hard. But I don't want anyone here feeling sorry for me, because I learned a lot of lessons along the way. See, I learned that adversity is what shows you who you really are, and that sometimes you have to go inside of yourself to find a reason to push through. So that taught me how to go through pain and not around it, because there are no losses in life, only lessons, only opportunities for us to strengthen our resolve, gain new skills so that we can navigate the next challenge with more ease. So maybe you've never been in foster care before. Okay. But you probably know what it feels like to be trapped because of your circumstances. And maybe you never lived in a house full of strangers, but you probably know what it's like to feel unwanted. or to feel like you need support and can't count on the people you love because they have let you down time and time again. But see, we all have to come to a crossroads in our life where we decide if our why is going to be bigger than our why not. Being in foster care taught me how to stop feeling sorry for myself, sitting around waiting on the sun to come out, and instead ask myself what I can become in the rain. I stopped looking around for somebody else to save me, and instead I learned how to save myself. And you have to save you too. Because that strength, it is always inside of us. It carries us. It can hold us up when we feel like the entire world has let us down. But it's up to us to go inside ourselves to tap into it. Thank you.